In this video, what we want to look at is a user CID number and a user person number, and ensuring in the custom BIP report that those values are switched the other way around. And the reason for that is downstream ingestion into work tribe needs to work on person number rather than CID number. So that sounds a bit left and right. So what are we trying to say? Here is an extract of a custom BIP report. And normally in column B, we have, it says CID. I've added in dev3 for the dev3 environment just to make it clear. And over in column J, we have person number. So ordinarily in a CID column, we would see CID numbers, and in the person column, we would see person numbers. This reports run so the data looks a bit different, but that's the expectation. In the CID column, you want CID numbers, and in the person column, we want person numbers. Now, this BIP report is going to be ingested downstream into WorkTribe, and with various code within our WorkTribe integration that points to the CID column and also points to the person number column. And there's a lot of code that's been written that actually has determination from the person number column heading. So when we look at the person number within the code downstream, it's going to look at person numbers. Unfortunately, the way the code was written is it works better for CID numbers. So if person numbers represented by CID numbers, that makes a lot less coding infrastructure change, if at all. And that's why we're doing this. That's why we want in the person number columns, we want the data for CID numbers. So we want basically whatever's in column B to be in J, and conversely, where we have person number in column J, we want that in column B. So today, and I've written kind of two words over here, sort of like before and now. So before all this conversation, CID was in the CID column and person was in the person column, as it says in the titles. Okay, fine. Now, what do we want to see? Well, in the CID column, we want to see the person number, and in the person number column, we want to see the CID. So we're kind of like swapping it around. That's a sort of long story short. So this is all about understanding that, getting some context of why we're doing that, and then looking at the process of how we can achieve that. Well, the process of getting this done, and we're going through a HR subset integration, is to look at the forced user update, where we've already got users in WorkTribe, and we've taken a list of a few of those, and we're going to, for the sake of testing, add those users through the forced lookup. And in meaning, we're going to add person number. We used to add CID number, but we'll add person number now. That's the way we'll go forward. So what does that look like from a Fusion perspective? So let's just come over and sort of see what is it we're trying to do. So I want to do an HR subset and want to go to a custom lookup. It's called the forced user lookup. And then from there, we're going to select a few users and see an already populated lookup and just try and identify what's actually going on. So let's go to the lookups first. Let's go to setup and maintenance, and then from tasks query over to manage common lookups and have a look at the forced user lookup. So yeah, from manage common lookups, and let's now search on our forced user MP WorkTribe and forced. All right, so this is our forced update lookup, and here we can see we've got some values down below. There's 4 ticks for 4 lines that we're talking about. These are some users in the description, but here in the meaning, we have added the person number. So just remind ourselves again. So we've added these types of values. In fact, if I go over to the sheet that we've used to populate that, it's over here. And the values that we've added are here, these person number values. And we can see them clearly here, 1, 2, 3, 4, first 4. So they're person number values. And it used to be CID, now it's person value, person number. I've left this line as kind of a reminder. It's not active, but it just gives us a reminder. So, okay. So we're forcing some users in to be ingested into work tribe, and instead of in meaning putting CID, we're putting person number, and we can see the people on the one to the right of that. Meaning that if we then run the custom BIP report extract afterwards, and this is a representation of that, it is actually that report. It's not even a representation, it is actually that report. We can see very clearly now in the CID column, person number appears here, and also in the person number, the CID values are there. And in the CID column, sorry if I said it the other way a second ago, in the CID column, the person numbers are here. And that's great. So now when we do an ingest into work tribe, it will work based on when person number is selected from the code, it's looking at CIDs. And when CID's being referenced, it will reference to the person number. So that's how it's going to work. So there's a extract of the custom BIP report for forced users only. And we see CID and we see person number with the respective values that we want to see. And then it's not ingested yet, and this video isn't talking about the ingest process just yet. It's the precursor to that. And what we want to do is to do some pre-validation. One was to have a look at the lookup and make sure that the CID columns represent person values and the person number represented CID values, and we can see that's successful. And the lookup itself, that got populated successfully. And then what we're interested in is from a work tribe point of view, before the ingest. And here's our 4 users, box, 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 box. And we can see they're currently available within work tribe. They are individuals, all having a single department against them, all having staff identifiers, which can clearly be seen against them. Okay, that's one thing. If we wanted to take a bigger view from a work tribe perspective, rather than just say, is that all? What else do I want to see? And then we have separate tabs for each of these users. So for Abigail Ackerman, the first one, we have our own tab, and we can see against this user from the staff lookup that there is one appointment only, and the post ref represents what we'd see from an ISIS perspective, not beginning from an E number, for example, so not a fusion ingest. So this is already what was ingested from ISIS a long time ago as a copy of employees that we have within the system. Okay, so that's good to point out. Anything else? Well, once we've selected from the staff lookup Abigail, we can then see the salary of Abigail, as well as other details of spine and FTE equivalents and per hours a week. And we see starting salaries, direct and indirect costs, and overall, from a budget perspective, the application from DI staff of having Abigail there, from cost to funder, price to funder, we see those amounts coming in, surplus and deficit. So we have an idea, a much better idea of this user from a work tribe perspective. And the reason to do this is to understand the user, to understand the amount of appointments that they currently have, to see the application against a project, to see the salary amounts against the project, and then to see the budget line as well. Because after we've done the ingest, we want to go back and we want to reconcile that. So we've got some tabs over here, and these are called after Abigail Ackerman, which will be here. We'll put in the same information afterwards, and that will allow us to have a think and reconcile before the HR subset ingestion. What did Abigail look like? And then also after, and that's the pattern that's completed for all users going across, where we see the appointments. So after ingest, we might see 2 lines, for example. Here we see one before the ingest, and that's important to note because you want to know the differences before and after and have that confidence to understand, because of the ingest, this happened. Because of the ingest, you're going to have 2 appointments. Because of the ingest, the new person coming across should have the same salary, or is it different for any particular reason? When we see against the budget line, is it different for any reason? These are things we want to understand. So that's the point of knowing what the behavior is for these records before and after the HR subset ingest. So that's the point of this video, is that we have a much better understanding of the forced user lookup. You can see the data effect from a forced lookup bit report perspective and person number and SID number being switched over correctly. We have an idea of what our users look like from WorkTribe now, from a front end, and also from an application to a project on potential appointments being available now before ingest, and having an idea of salary before ingest, and seeing budget line, cost to underpriced funder, or cost to HCI and surplus deficit values up front before an ingest. So now we will go through the process in another video to see that we've done the HR ingest, and then to know after that ingest what the results of that will be, which we have placeholders for here, which then allow us to think and just double check and reconcile. Is it the same? If not, why not? Maybe from a values perspective, an appointments perspective, looking at the post ref and see if there are any differences. From a front end, having a look at staff identifiers, seeing if there's any differences. Emails, are there any differences? Departments, are there any differences? So we can understand behaviors before and post ingest that were different to the original standing data from an ISIS perspective to what we see from a Fusion perspective with what we have on the system. So good, that gives us a better understanding of what it is that we're trying to look at and what we're trying to achieve. And we will then have a run at the HR ingest process subset and see what results we get from the other side. And we will try to analyze that in a separate video. So thanks for watching this one.